Hello, everyone. I'm Ann Marie Beale, minister of Unity Church of the Cumberlands. You know, every morning when I get up, I open the curtains and look out at the hills around us. And as soon as I open the curtains, it scares the birds away from the bird feeder. And I think of that butterfly effect. When a butterfly flaps its wings in Cookeville, is there a hurricane in China? And I think by opening the curtains, have I changed the course of history? I'm just kidding, of course, but this isn't to freak us out, but to show how interconnected we all are, that what happens with one affects the all, and the power we have to change that. So the current situation in our country, there's a lot of fear. Fear is rampant, and there's hopelessness. Will racism ever stop? Will our country ever return to love and normalcy again? Well, we can't always change everything in the world as quickly as we'd like, but we can change how we see it, how we respond to it. Remember, what happens with one affects the all. If a butterfly flaps its wings and has that kind of an effect on the world, think of what we can do. So how we see it is as important as what we do. Now, quantum physics shows the observer can affect the outcome. So all of us choosing to observe and to respond with love, imagine the parallel universe that we can create, that parallel string that we can create as an outcome. Edgar Cayce, who was one of America's mystics and psychic, had said the most important scripture is from the book of Deuteronomy. Now, who reads the book of Deuteronomy anymore, right? Well, but in Deuteronomy 30:19, it is very important. It says, "See, I have set before you life and prosperity, or death and adversity. I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses." So choose life that your descendants may live. In other words, it's all before us, parallel possibilities in every moment, death or life, love or hate. We choose then which parallel string we're going to attach to and bring into manifestation in our part of the world. Now, I heard something recently that I'd never heard before. It's called the popsicle index. Isn't that interesting? What is the popsicle index? Well, it's the measure of your comfort level. If you were to send your child to the store in your neighborhood all by himself for a popsicle. Now, when my children were growing up, I was lucky. We lived in a small town in the Midwest, and they could go to the store by themselves. I was never afraid. They went all over town talking to people. But there are some places, and especially if you're of a different race or color, that mothers are afraid to send their children out. They could be harmed, they could be killed or harassed just because of the color of their skin. So what is your popsicle index? What measure of comfort do you have? Now, the good news is that popsicle index can be raised. And that's the survival kit for 2020. It's not easy and it takes energy and focus, but we create, again, parallel possibilities by how we observe, by how we respond. To understand how that works in the power of the mind, remember that old movie, Beautiful Mind, the true story of John Nash, who was a Nobel Prize winner, who was a schizophrenic. And you know, it's fascinating. Schizophrenics have a lot to teach us because they show the power of the mind to create. I was watching the movie and I thought his best friend was real all through the movie until the end when you find out he isn't real. I thought the conspiracy against him was true all through the movie. I saw the bad guys out to get him until the end when it wasn't real. There's an old joke. Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean somebody isn't out to get you, right? Well, in the movie, the man, Christopher Plummer, who played the psychiatrist, said the only way I can help John is to show him the difference between what is real and what is in his mind. So the movie made you think, what is reality? How do we create? Am I creating this whole illusion myself? Jesus talked about it in a different way when he went to heal people. He said, by your faith, you are healed. In other words, again, like in quantum physics, by how you see it, by how you respond to it, by how you envision it, is how you will be healed. And so I choose right now to have faith in the one presence, the one power, the power of love moving in and through everyone, moving in and through all. I choose to have faith in the truth, not appearances, because the appearances right now can send us all into fear, and that will create a whole different parallel string, a whole different parallel universe. I have faith that sees before it's manifest. I'm not seeing the healing yet. I'm not seeing the world transformed yet. But I have faith that it is happening because the power of love moves in and through everyone. And through faith, we have the power, the perceiving power of the mind to shape the world around us, to shape the substance around us. Faith hears that inner prompting that says, this is mine to do. In other words, what's yours to do may be different than what is mine to do, but if we have faith, we will hear that inner prompting of spirit. Oh, this is my part. This is what I'm to do. And faith prays. Prays the power to sustain that parallel universe, to sustain that higher reality, rather than to get drawn into the lower, denser reality. Rudyard Kipling said, if you can keep your head, why all about you are losing theirs. And that's the key. Can you keep your head right now? Can you keep your center in the truth, in the love, in the oneness, in the union we share, rather than getting lost into all that would draw us down? Collectively, insane thoughts can create an insane world. And so we must lift ourselves out of the insanity. That's the survivor's kit for 2020. In a world gone mad, we may not be able to change everything right away as we'd like, but the level of fear, the level of attachment to that outer reality, that outer universe right now, detach and attach to the higher reality, the truth and the love of the one presence, one power in our union with that presence. The Course in Miracles reminds us, why should I continue to suffer from the effects of my own insane thoughts when the perfection of creation is my home, my true home? Let me remember the power of my decision. Again, it's a choice. It's a decision. And recognize where I really abide, in the mind of God. Our ego's perception is a nightmare of separation. But the real beautiful mind is that awakened vision of our union, of our oneness. And action then comes from those inner spiritual promptings, not our ego's reaction, not our emotional triggers, but that higher voice of the divine within us. I have a friend that always asks me, well, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to tell your people to do about it? She's a real doer. And so I made a list one time. First of all, I don't know how to fix the larger picture like that, except by what I can add to mass consciousness. That's my part. What am I going to add to this? What am I going to focus on? What am I going to put to the mix that will affect the whole of the mass consciousness? And then doing what is mine to do. I try to stay out of the energy of fear, hate, terror, so I don't give energy to that. And through prayer, give energy to love, to feed that energy, to feed that parallel universe, that parallel string. I center in the love and the peace, in the union, rather than getting drawn into the hate and the fighting and the division. And I pray for our country. I pray for our world. I pray for all people. Prayer is the power we have to choose that parallel string, to choose that parallel universe. And I trust in the divine presence moving in and through all. And I hold to the principles and truth that I believe to be true. And I trust the flow of the awakening process on the planet. I'm so proud of all the ordinary citizens throughout this country that are sending love to each other, that on Facebook are posting the good that people are doing, coming together in love, in peace, in harmony. So let's take a little test. Check in right now. How does your body feel? Is it relaxed or is it tense? Where is your mind? Is it peaceful? Is it still? Or does it carry obsessive, racing thoughts? How about your emotions? Are they calm or are they fearfully reactive? Are your actions coming from control, attack, and defend? Or are your actions coming from the flow of Spirit's promptings? Galatians 2:16 reminds us, don't frustrate the grace of God. Don't frustrate the grace of God. Don't seek idols outside yourself. And that means don't put faith in the system. Don't put faith in the politicians, the military, the police force. The outer authorities may let us down. But we trust in the one presence, the one power, the divine moving in and through all. You know, in the Old Testament, kings often made decisions from fear. They would make allies with their enemies in order to overcome another enemy. And they were told by the prophets, don't make your enemies your allies. And what that means metaphysically is, don't make allies with fear or toxic thinking. That's your real enemy, the fear, the toxic thoughts. They will deceive you. Make your allies of the higher reality of the one presence, one power, and know that we are not in this alone. That's the beauty. The power of the collective. What one does affects all. The choice for good, that collectively we can create a parallel universe from love, not fear. And so here at Unity, we can create a collective and to be a force for love. Where two or more are gathered, there is great power. The power of love can transform a room. Think of what that power can do to transform the world. And if you don't believe that, I have a wonderful story that I love to tell of how in my personal family life a room was transformed through love. And of course we can take that into a bigger context. But it was at my father's wake, his memorial, his wake. And we were all standing around looking very somber and serious and sad, kind of going from one foot to the other, not knowing what to say, what to do with each other. And all of a sudden, a group of people came into the room. You see, my youngest sister has Down syndrome, and she lives in a group home with friends that she has grown up with and went to school with. And they all walked into the room together to support Linda, whose dad had just died. And one of her friends walked over to the casket and looked in and said, "Oh, what happened? Oh, gee, I'm so sorry." And he kept walking around the room, "Oh, gee, I'm so sorry. What happened?" And they started to hug everybody in the room, and pretty soon the room was filled with everybody hugging each other and smiling and loving. Now, if a room can be transformed from love like that, think of how we can transform this country. Oh, gee, what happened? I'm so sorry. And extending love to one another. All philosophies have prophecies of the end of times. And usually those prophecies say there'll be destruction, but it will be followed by a time of peace. But one of my favorite books is Greg Braden, who wrote the Isaiah Effect many years ago. And he didn't see them as linear, but as two choices, as two outcomes. One is destruction, one is peace. See, I have set before you life or death. We choose the parallel string. I have set before you today life and prosperity, death and adversity. I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Choose life so that your descendants may live. Now we're going to take that into prayer, but before we do, I invite you to join us at 11:30 on Zoom as we discuss this and whatever else we want to talk about today. But first, let's do our love offering that we do each Sunday when we're together. And I thank all of you who have been supporting Unity Church of the Cumberlands through this time of social distancing. If you would like to contribute, go to unitycookeville.org and click the donate button. Or you can mail your tithes to 823 East 10th Street, Cookeville, Tennessee, 38501. But first now let's bless these blessings together with our offertory blessing as we do each Sunday. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am grateful. And now, let us go into a prayer together. We'll be accompanied by Michael Beale on the Native American flute. So, as we begin, just go into your heart, out of your mind and into your heart, where that higher mind, that beautiful mind comes forth. That mind that sees the world as one. That mind that awakens to the unity we share with the divine light, the divine presence, by whatever name you call that presence. And just allow that to come forth. Allow that to take root in your heart. Allow that to expand and grow. And see it in every heart and mind around you. Have faith in that. Feed that energy. Stand in the truth of your being. And just listen for a while as we rest in that beautiful sound. and so it is. Amen.